Hello YouTube, Paper Thomas here, just doing a little bit of wood cutting. Figured that I would jump on the hype train and give you guys my leagues plan because I know I'm excited for it. All my buddies are excited for it. My wife is not as excited for it, but we all have to make sacrifices some points in our lives. So, starting with the Combat Masteries. This is something that is new to this leagues compared to every other leagues, so it's something that if this is your first league, congratulations, you're going to get to experience this completely new just like the rest of us. And it's a really cool system that I hope that they implement in future leagues. So throughout the course of your leagues, you'll be completing these individual challenges here at the bottom left, each one giving you a point that you can use almost like a skill tree to build up each of the combat mastery tiers. So I was of the group last leagues that used the Shadow with Berserker, and it was absolutely busted. I loved it. And I figured that this leagues they were probably going to tone down magic in particular. And magic is still very strong, but that already, I had my magic fun, so I figured I was going to be doing something else anyway. So it was between melee and ranged, and melee has won out. So I will be joining the Hive Mind and going 6, 3, 1, which I came to of my own conclusion. It just so happened that a lot of other people have the same good idea. The idea of just having a scythe with the echoes hitting up to 8 times, almost 30 hit splats, you know, the theoretical, is just too much fun to pass up. And then this, in my opinion, might also make something like Torag's hammers an interesting weapon to use just because you might have that extra echo hit. So I just think that melee is going to be the most unique fun for this league, so I'm looking forward to trying that. Tier 3 ranged is particularly because if you have a blowpipe, whether from the desert or from the elven lands, it'll make it a 1-tick weapon, which is just beautiful. If you're in any encounter you can't use magic, just bust out the blowpipe and you're good to go. And then I'm putting 1 in magic just so that I have my magic is a little buffed in case I ever need to use it. For my regions, so we'll do this before the relics because this will kind of explain why I'm picking the relics that I am. My first unlock is going to be Mauritania. I feel as though this is just the best melee region because you're going to have access not only to TOB, which is a melee-centric raid, so that every upgrade and bit of progress you make in melee is going to be making TOB easier and just a smoother raid overall. But you're going to have access to the Barrows Brothers. You're going to have access to Araxor for the Rancor Amulet, for the Noxious Halberd. You already have access to all the Slayer monsters in the Slayer Slayer Tower. So you'll have access to the Whip, neck reels for Rune Boots, the Grotesque Guardians, and all that. So Mauritania, in my opinion, is just a no-brainer. The only exception in my mind, as far as for combat goes, is either Asgarnia, because then you'll have access to Bandos and Torva, or maybe even Taranwin, because with the Crystal Blessing, it makes it so the Crystal Armor works on melee weapons as well. But if you're going melee, I feel like you have to pick at least one of those regions. Mauritania is winning out for me. My second is going to be the Fremnik Isles, because getting those best in slot jewelries, the Monarch Necklace and the Emperor's Ring, are just so powerful that, especially if you're not going Kandarin, which is where you'd get the best in slot range and magic amulets, Mauritania will have access to the Rancor Amulet. Fremnik just takes all of what Kandarin offers and just lumps it all in with the DKs. So that's one reason why I'm going there, because I will be going for a blowpipe, which I'll talk about more in just a second. Having the Ava's Assembler from Vorkath, because Mauritania completes Animal Magnetism, and then Vorkath allows you to upgrade it, is just a beautiful combination. You have access to Duke, the Muspa. There's just a lot of fun stuff that comes out from Fremnik, particularly if you're running the melee setup. Then my third, which, caveat, my league's philosophy is that your first two areas you of course should have fun in them, but should complement the playstyle that you're going for. Mauritania and Fremnik complement my melee combat style perfectly. Then your third area should be not purely necessarily fun, but it should be a place that you enjoy regardless of the downsides to it. So I know some people are picking the wilderness. Some people are picking the elven lands. Some people are picking Varlamore. I am going the desert, particularly for 2 reasons. The 2 reasons are, 1, I want that Drygore blowpipe. That's where I'm getting my blowpipe. If you're doing a 1-tick blowpipe, you have to do desert or you have to do the elven lands. And the Drygore blowpipe just is going to be so powerful, even when you're doing melee relic or going completely in melee, because not only is it going to have the Fang passive or the double accuracy roll, it also has 1 additional range shot. It can reach 1 tile further than your regular blowpipe. So that means you can use it in the Inferno. So that's just going to make the Zuck fight super duper easy for me, which, going back to the combat relics, is one of the tasks. So aside from just grinding out a twisted bow, aside from using a rune crossbow, God forbid, maybe even Garrels would be fun because I'm going to be in Mauritania, the Drygore blowpipe, that's just going to be the most fun for this leagues, in my opinion. And then, of course, TOA. I have a group of friends I'll be doing Tob with, the Theater of Blood, but the Tombs of Amascut is, in my opinion, the easiest raid to solo. So when they're not on and I can't raid with them, then I'm just going to be doing the TOA by myself and enjoying that. Plus, I'll be getting Masori, which is going to just make my blowpipe that much better. In my opinion, it's going to be fun, but with loads of benefits. So those are going to be my 3 regions. Jumping into the Relics, Tier 1, I am going to be going with Animal Wrangler. You're not making a wrong decision if you're going with Power Miner. I myself am just going to enjoy Animal Wrangler more. Lumberjack is the one where it's considered the least effective of the 3. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Animal Wrangler, you're going to get as much food as you need. And then, of course, you'll also be able to get your Hunter up extremely easy, which will just help with things like Implings and then Chin should you need them. For Tier 2, you need to do something in leagues that is Herblore centric. So Herblore is going to either come from Friendly Forager, Pocket Kingdom, or Overgrown. You see Pocket Kingdom and Overgrown are in the same tier, so you're going to have to decide from there. Just a spoiler hopping ahead, I've already decided I'm going to be doing the Grimoire for reasons I'll explain when we get to that tier. Which means I need something for Herblore, which is going to be Friendly Forager. Of course, you can just raw dog it and just go doing Herblore regularly, but you're in leagues, I feel like you're there for fun. So I don't want to just be doing that. I want to just be doing herb runs. So I'm going to be doing that. Dodgy Deals sounds like it's going to be loads of fun as well. If you're going Kandarin, that's going to be easy medium clues from gnomes. That's going to be easy hard clues from heroes. And then, of course, Blood Shards in Mauritania. But Blood Shards, in my opinion, aren't extremely powerful in leagues because you already have the healing benefits. So Blood Shard will just basically ensure you'll never die. But I feel as though it's also not completely necessary because you can also just camp out a Blood Shard or 2 from Firewatch Sentinel. For the 3rd tier, I'm going Clue Compass. I'm a clue guy by heart, so this was a no-brainer for me the moment they said that it teleports you to the next step. I heard that and I was like, no, there has to be a catch. No catch. The only thing is you can't teleport to one where you have to kill it, which is only in elites and I believe masters, and there are only one type of clue that you can get. So Clue Compass, and then Clue Compass also just has loads of niche teleports, which the other ones don't offer. So being able to teleport to the master stash units, in Mauritania, that's going to be the Barrows chest. In Asgarnia, that's going to be Cerberus, that's going to be Krill. And then the added benefit of just holding onto a clue that has a good teleport destination, like again, back into Asgarnia, the Sarah Dungeon, in Fremi, the Dagonoth Kings. So there's just so many of these niche uses that you're not going to get with Bank Heist and Fairy's Flight, which I did Fairy's Flight last year, last leagues. And that one was a great choice. Bank Heist, I'm sure, will be great as too. But Clue Compass is just a no-brainer for me. Going into the tier 4, Golden God, money doesn't matter as much to me in leagues because by the time you get settled in leagues, you're going to have enough money. I know Mauritania, there's already talks about like being able to just elk any of the purples that you get from there, and now you already have several million GP. So money I'm not worried about. Golden God does offer the prayer bonus, but where you can just use money to get prayer experience. But going back to Fremnik, I'm going to have Vorkath, so I'll just have loads of superior bones. I'll have the construction shop so I can make the best altar in my house, and I can just rock it out that way. Prayer is not going to be an issue for me. Equilibrium, I see is good for anybody who wants to rush 99s and work towards maybe like 50 mil experience in each skill if you're a rank chaser. But it's not for me. I'm going to get dragon rank, and I'm going to call it a day. So reload is what I'm going to do, where I'm going to jump back and most likely go for Power Miner, just so I have the skilling on lockdown. I'm considering dodgy deals, but like I said, all the benefits of dodgy deals are ones that I don't really need. So Power Miner, I think, is going to be the best choice there. Going into Tier 5, Treasure Arbiter is what I would have picked 100%, again, being a clue guy, if Clue Compass didn't exist. Clue Compass, it does exist, which means I don't have to pick this, and instead I'm going to go to Slayer Master. Slayer Master, in my opinion, is one of the best relics that you can get in this entire list. And I have the reason being right here. Solely for this, always on task for eligible Slayer monsters. So, with Mauritania, you'll have access to the Slayer Helmet. With the Slayer Helmet and everything being on task, Jagex recently did a stream where they mentioned that every boss that you could be given an assignment for is always going to be on task. Araxor is going to be the big one for me. All the God Wars bosses, all the DT2 bosses will all be on task all the time. So you don't have to hunt a task for a Slayer boss. And you're getting that damage and accuracy buff against every single monster. That cannot be beat. That's insane. At the same time, you can just kill whatever you want, in which you can just jump down here where it says gain this additional experience for every 100th unique Slayer monster you kill. You could just go and just run through the Slayer Tower, killing everything. I'm going to have Fremy. I could just run through the Slayer Cave. And just easily rack up so much Slayer experience, which is going to make it so I can get to Araxor quicker, which means I can get the Rancor quicker before I do Dagonoth Kings. And it also means that I can get the Noxus Halberd, which is going to be probably my best in slot until I finally get a Scythe. So there's just so many benefits from doing Slayer Master, which I'm kind of glad that Clue Compass exists. I'm very glad that I don't have to pick Treasure Arbiter, because that means I'm going to have loads of fun with Slayer Master. Tier 6, Total Recall and Banker's Note. I am going Banker's Note, no question. Just the utility that you gain from Banker's Note cannot be understated, in my opinion. Every time it's been available, I've picked it. Skilling, you never have to bank. Bossing, you never have to bank, which is the whole thing about Total Recall, is when you do have to bank, you'll come back with full HP and specs, which, again, is not needed if you're never teleporting out in the first place. And then that, in collaboration with Vorkath, like I said, makes it so Golden God is not needed, because I'll just note all my bones, unnote them all when I'm in my POH, and just get 99 prayer super easy. The Grimoire is kind of like the piece of resistance to the entire my entire setup, because it's going to give me access to all the prayers without having to go to Korend or Kandarin. It's going to give me access to the Arceus spellbook without, again, Korend. So I'll have Thralls. I'll have the Barrows teleport, so I could just teleport to Barrows, then use the Clue Compass to teleport back into the chest if I wanted to rush like Darox, for example. It's just going to be such a nice perk that I find like these other ones are convenience picks, where the Grimoire is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to using that. The last tier is the combat tier, where I am going to be going Last Stand. So Last Stand, again, just sounds like it's going to be the most fun for this leagues. The DPS that you're going to be achieving with your 255 stat is going to be amazing. With DK or with Darox, I've already calculated it's into the low to mid thousands before echoes hit. And then the fact that you're going to have that healing with melee, you just cannot die. You're not going to die unless you intentionally try to die. Guardian is one where if you want to just simplify combat, then you definitely can. I know people talk about the waifu, so you can enjoy that. Just the DPS just isn't there for me to think that it's worth it. And then Specialist, I feel, is probably going to be the most powerful when people actually figure out whatever their metas are going to be, like for the Dog Sword, for example. But that's too much brain power for me. I'm going Last Stand, and I'm going to enjoy it. So, realistically, that's all my thoughts on in a little video format. This is one where I wanted to make sure I put as many of my thoughts down on paper, so that anybody who's interested can watch it, can maybe glean some information from it, and then just ride that into Leagues, because Leagues comes out tomorrow. And like I said, I'm super excited for it. So I'm curious to hear what you guys are going to be doing. So please make sure that you're leaving. Oh, I got to do this one. This is taking too much of my brain power. Let me know how you're doing Leagues, from your combat relics to your just passive relics to your areas. I want to hear what you guys are doing, because maybe we'll cross paths, or maybe you guys will even change my mind on what I'm going to want to be doing with Leagues, even though I'm pretty much dead set on what I'm going to be doing.